Hello, everyone. Oh, got it. Hello, everyone. My name is Dave Rogers, and uh, I work with the University of California at Santa Cruz on the AnVIL portal and on the and on the Data Explorer. Let me figure out how to share my screen here. Screen share is not turned on. Um, Press the screen share button again. Send request, maybe.
There you go.
Okay, and share and desktop one and press the share button. Okay, you can see my screen here. Yeah.
Looks good.
And then okay. So anytime it just feel free to ask questions to interrupt and I'll just try to walk you through what we have here. So hopefully you're somewhat familiar with the AnvilProject.org. It's a host of many meant to be at some point all of the data sets that are generated by the NHGRI and some partners. And there's the data sets aspect. There's a tools aspect, which is the doc store collection of of tools that can be run on the data. And then there's a workflow environment, which is Terra. So between the three of those, between the data and the tools and the workflow environment, then we've got a place where you can do your genomic analysis in the cloud. So it enables you to do studies that you couldn't do or may be difficult or expensive to do locally, especially if you don't have a local HPC cluster set up. So there's some first-class tools on here: Bioconductor, Galaxy, Seeker, Jupyter. So basically, the thing is, all the tools that you're used to using locally, you can use them in the cloud with this data sets that are on the Anvil. And as a high level, here's some of the consortia that have their data sets on here, and here's some numbers about the size of the data sets, how many participants, studies, etc. So, and then these data sets, they are released on a quarterly cadence. And so you can see we've just started this quarterly, well, it's not quarterly here, it's monthly here. This quarterly cadence, and you can see the new data that's come into the system by looking at these at our releases. So. Okay, but what was that about a data explorer? So you can get to our explorer here, this link here, or you can go directly to well, I'll just go there. It's at explore.data.humans. Sorry, I'm waking up here. And it's explore.avilproject.org is where it's at. Okay, and so here is the Explorer, and you can see the list of data sets that we have here. And so this is a kind of a standard faceted filter over the data sets and over the sort of graph of objects that are loaded that are associated with the data sets. So data sets have um, these are equivalent to maybe what a data set is. Let me go through the list. There's data sets, donors. Data sets have donors. Donors, you have to take samples from them. From those samples, things were performed on the samples, and then eventually we end up with some files. And so the files are what we want in our system and to export to Terra to be able to analyze them. So the data sets, what they are is they correspond roughly to a Terra workspace, but also to a study. Um, so here you have a dbGaP identifier, these PHS IDs. They're a study that has a unique consent group. And so, and so, so it's basically taking the studies and splitting them into the different consent groups because different people will be granted access to the different studies and different portions of the studies. depending on what their use is. So the consent code, what it does is the data, as you know, is consented for a specific use. And then if you want to use that data, you have to apply for access to it, and you have to say what your use is going to be. And then an IRB, an internal or a review board, or the DAC, the Data Access Committee, will decide if your data use corresponds to the intended use of what the data was consented for, and if so, you'll be granted access. So what am I talking about access for? So one interesting thing about the AnVIL Data Explorer is it's set up to handle this managed access data. Uh, and then so what I'm talking about here is managed access, which has been consented for a very specific usage. And some of the data is open access, and some of the data is, considered managed access. And you probably all had your NIH training about how to handle managed access data, how not to share it inappropriately, how to share it only with people that also have access to the data, et cetera. But what the Data Explorer tries to do is give you on this Datasets tab a view of the data that's all open access. So the metadata that's here, we want you to know about the existence of the project, and we want you to know about some of the metadata that's associated with the project to help motivate you to apply for access, to know whether or not I should apply for access to this, because it takes a little bit of time for the dbGaP, access process. And in general, the flow is once you find a data set that you're interested in, then you apply for access through dbGaP or through the Broad's Duos system, and I'll show you the links to that. I'll show you the links to that right now. So here is a data set that maybe it says access required. If I want to request access, I can go over to the Broad's Duo system or over to dbGaP, and probably if you've been playing this game for a while, you've seen this dbGaP request access page, and you know that if you are an NIH researcher, you have your log into this, and you can go in and request access to the data set. And then once you are granted access to the data set, and you are appropriately logged into the Data Explorer, then you'll be able to log in and see this required turn to granted. So while I'm on this page, let's see. So I went over data sets. The donors are a bit of information about the donors: phenotypic sex, reported ethnicity, diagnosis if we have it. Again, which data set, and then you can see that we have in some cases where the data was collected from, and then I'm going to skip the activities, and then the files here is what we're interested in. We have our the file size, where you can access this directly, what data set it's from, what file format it is, etc. So this is the data that we're going to search over. It's these 300 almost 400 now data sets. And then there's a few columns that you can add here, extra columns that are not shown by default on all of these. So let me stop right there and say, is there any questions of the stuff I've gone over so far? Okay. I'm not sure I waited my entire 7 seconds, but okay. And then we do have on here some guides to talk about how to find and finding and using data on the Data Explorer. This link out to some guides that have been prepared by the Broad team and are on the Terra support docs. And then we do have a data dictionary on here that lets us know, in a little bit about what the fields are, the main fields that are on the entities that I just showed you. So okay, so we've got a data dictionary, and to know that we need to can go to our the documentation that we have. And then just to show you the sign-in process, there's a sign-in over here. You can sign in with Google. And as I am a developer on this project, you'll see all of I have access, developer access to all of the projects here. So you can see my projects have gone all to all green, granted. And and if you were to do this, you would be prompted to create an account in Terra. And when you create the account in Terra, then you'll be prompted doing that to accept the terms of service. And then you'll be prompted to connect uh, your Terra account to connect Terra to your NIH account. This is so that Terra can know who you are, who you are in relative to the NIH and what NIH data sets that you have access to through your NIH credentials. And so there's a tutorial that you can go to through about how to access controlled data and how to link your identity to Terra. And then we've been talking about I'm going to log out here just so um, okay. And so and Terra is available, this anvil.terra.bio. You can also get to it from this launch here, from the homepage here. And then you can sign in to Terra here, and you can do your sign in with the Google. And then Terra lists all the workspaces that you have access to. When you export data from the Data Explorer, you'll be exporting it into a Terra workspace. And hopefully you've had some training on Terra workspaces, how to use them. But related to the Data Explorer and the linking that I just showed, there's this profile section. We talk about who you are, but also this is the main one, is your external identities. So this is where you can go and link your NIH account to your, link your ERA Commons account or any of these other accounts to Terra. So I don't have an NIH ERA Commons account, so I won't be able to demo this part, but I can click it and see what happens. Okay, so you're prompted to log in here, and then there's a way to connect your account to Terra. Okay, so if you logged in and you linked your account, and then you had access to any of these accounts, and you had gone and requested access to any of these accounts, and then you had gone through that process, you would then have access to these managed access data sets, and you would be able to export them to Terra to analyze them. So I know there's a lot going on the managed access piece, but is there any general questions about managed access and how to get access, et cetera? Maybe we can do that in the Q&A section. Okay, so I'm logged out, but we do have a bunch of data sets that are open access, and you can see this is this consent group, NRES, and that stands for no restrictions. And if I look for my access, this is the faceted search over the data sets. I can say what data do I have as is granted to me, even though I'm already logged out. Although I'm logged out, and it's these data sets right here. So there's a bit of data that's available. So 10,000 donors data sets, a petabyte of open access data that's on the AnVIL Data Explorer. And coming soon, the open access data will be available for download from AWS um, for free of charge. So AWS will be hosting the open access data, and so we're really excited. We call it the ODP or Open Data Program. Really excited to be able to make it easier to access the open access data. You'll be able to download it easier to your HPC as there'll be no egress costs. Okay, and then so what do we have across here? So we always have this section right here that shows you some summaries of what the data that you selected. And then we have, well, what data, what's available for me to restrict my data by. And so we have this search all filters thing. And so if you click it, it opens up, and you can start typing. And there's just an autocomplete facet to help restrict this list for down to data that you're interested in. So we have I have my open access data that I have about the adrenal gland is this data set right here. This is mouse IGVF. So, and then let me remove this so I can get a more robust metadata. So I can still search over the open access, search over the managed access data, even though I don't have access to it. And so there's quite a few diagnoses in here that we could search over. There's some different ethnicities that we can search over. There's anatomical sites that the data has been collected from that we can go over, etc. So there's this metadata search over the different data sets. And then we talked about the title list thing is about a cross project uh, uh, cohort. So if you select data from multiple that's in multiple projects, you can export those as well to you can export those together to a Terra workspace. So I'm going to go back to my my granted again. Oh, so let me just point out that the logic here it's pretty much standard, but it's and across facets, and within a facet, it's or. So when I just did this, when if I get granted, or required, that's kind of everything. But if it's granted and the organism type is either I only want the humans, for example. So it's data that I have access to, and it's the human data. So that filters these down. And then, so to find out more about these data sets, then there's a detail page here. So, and this detail page lists information that we have about the project. It lists the information that's on the table, but it also has descriptions about the study itself. So you can read more about what's in a study and how to maybe in this case how to use the data. And then let me just say the simplest export is just a project specific export. So if there's a very specific project that I'm into, there's on that page, there's the export button. And then so there's two things I can do here. I can analyze a Terra, or I can download a manifest that has all the files in it. But I'm going to press this Analyze in Terra button, and then I'm going to get a list here of all the different file types that are in here, and they're all selected for me by default. And so I'm going to say, that I want only the BAM files from this one, just for demo purposes. And then I'm going to request to export this to this AnVIL, this HPRC to a Terra workspace. So what have I got here? I've got data from 51 biosamples, 51 donors. I've got 6.4K files. They're all BAM files. Um, and apparently not all of them are tagged with the organism, but we're fairly, let's see, let me look at what else other summary do. And this project is HPRC project. All right, so I can then click the button, so I can go to Terra. It's gonna I think I was already signed into Terra, so this just sent me through to this page, and I can select an existing workspace in Terra to take this data, or I can create a new workspace. And so I'm going to select to create a new workspace. And I would enter a description if I wanted to, and I would select a billing project. It's a different topic of how to get one of these billing projects, so maybe we can go over that in the Q&A. But the team that you're working with would have then worked with the AnVIL outreach team or your own NIH coordinators to set you up, help get you set up with a billing project. To be able to use your Terra workspace. Now, let me just say that Terra itself is free. It's free to use, but it's hosted on the cloud, and it consumes, when you use it, you can consume cloud resources. So you can consume storage, you can consume compute, depending on what you do. And so when I export a copy of it, when I export a data set, I'm not exporting the entire data set. I don't suddenly now have to pay for, uh, you know, 6,000, the storage for 6,000 BAM files. We're storing that, and we store links to those files in your workspace. So to create a workspace, there's not really much cost. But then if you launch compute that's associated with, or you upload your own files to the workspace, then you'll incur costs. So I happen to have some, as because I'm connected, I have some billing projects that I can use, and I can create the workspace. And I don't want to, these workspaces can be shared with your other team members. I want the secure monitoring. I don't, for the demo, I don't want the authorization domain, and I'm going to create my workspace. And then I just wait a few minutes and it will take care of this for me. Okay. I think this just takes a little bit. All right. So while this is happening, or not while this, so okay, it's created my workspace, and now it's importing the files. And so I've got this little thingy over here that says data import is in progress. And so it'll just take a few minutes, and then it'll prompt me to refresh the page, and then we'll be able to see that the the metadata that in these columns here is now over in AnVIL. You should have this, 4,200 files. Let's see. While that's going over, usually just takes a few. Oh, there we go. Data is imported successfully. And then it's asking me, I think I need to refresh the page here. Okay, so here we go. So I have my activities, my biosamples, my data sets, my donor, and most importantly, my files here. And then you can use these files and the rest of the metadata in your in analyses, in your Jupyter, RStudio, Bioconductor, Galaxy analyses, in your workflows from DocStore. Uh, or, yes, and your work and in your workflows from DocStore. So I'm going back to my data for this, and then this workspace that I created then will show up in my list of workspaces that I have in Terra. Oh, this is my information about the workspace. But if I went to my workspace list, where's this guy here? Then this is all my workspaces, and I have access to a bunch of workspaces because, like I said, I'm connected. So this is the export that we just did, and it'd be a good demo to follow up. I'm sure maybe we've already had demos about how to use the data that's in the workspaces. But I won't go into that here. So we just exported this AnVIL HPRC. And then another way to do the exports is, let me just, delete this guy. Because although this won't incur costs because there's no data associated with it, we do try to make sure we don't leave stuff lying around, or else I'll get emails saying, are you using this workspace? Okay, so another way to export data during this is through this export button over here. So right now I've got HPRC selected, but I can go and I can select another one of our data sets together. Say I want an HPRC and T to T at the same time and in the same workspace. Then I can do this export here, which is a cross-project export. And again, it's the same process. It's analyzed in Terra. And then I can select the file format that I want and say I want the BAMs. Looks like the BAMs are from, but I also want a couple of assemblies and yeah, I'll just leave it at that. And then so here again, I'm requesting my link. And it caches oh, there we go. This happened very quickly anyway. It caches the requests. The other one had been requested earlier by me, so it happened quickly. So then I'm going to go through this here and create a new workspace. And you've seen this part before. And I'm going to select my billing project, and I'm going to go, and I'm going to go, I'm going to go. And then while this is going, I think, Natalie, if you want to start the Q&A or remind me of any piece that I missed out. Yeah.
Yeah, this is great, Dave. Thank you.